this session, and it'll be available to other people going forward who weren't able to make it tonight. So just to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing, we're going to interview and hear a little bit of the behind the scenes from Karen, the author, as well as from Peggy, the illustrator. And then Karen's going to give us a reading of Explore, which we're all very excited to see. And then at the end, if you have any questions, we're going to do a Q&A. So feel free to put those in the chat. And if we have time at the end, we'll come around and get some answers from these very talented individuals. So with that, I will stop talking and turn things over to Karen. So Karen, Mom, this is your debut published book. Tell us about the experience that this has been for you.
Yeah, well, it is a dream come true for me. I've been writing for a long time, and a lot of poetry and songwriting as well. But this is the first time that I thought about putting something into a published work. And it's been a huge learning process for me, for sure. I guess I've really had a desire this last while to just share my words with people through some of the Facebook post groups I've been doing and other things like that, and just wanting to encourage people through the written word. And so I felt like this was part of that process. So
amazing. Yeah, I know we all, many of us here have received the encouragement that you give with your writing. So it's really cool to see it published. And I know personally, it's very cool to say, hey, my mom's an author. So yeah, we're very, very excited for you. Can you tell us a bit about the background behind Explore and I guess what motivated you to publish this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, actually, it really started as a poem. And in 2018, I did a series of poems for my family that I compiled as a book, a simple book for just for my family. And I did a series of interviews with each family member, and then based on the interviews, wrote a poem for each of them and put that together for a Christmas gift. And when I went back a few months later, I was looking at the one poem that I had written called Explore. And I thought, man, that would make a great kids book. I've always been, as an educator, I loved reading to my students. And, I thought that would be a really wonderful idea to encourage imagination and discovery and possibilities for kids, and letting them have a sense of wanting to follow their dreams and live life to the fullest. So I guess that I really felt that that poem captured that idea.
That's fantastic. I remember you doing all those amazing poems for people. Not all of them were like publish worthy, but I'm glad that someone's was. And that's very special that you've been able to share it with people. And I think it's also very relevant, not just to kids, but like to people at different points of their life. There's many times in your life you might be looking to explore. So I think that's really cool. I know I've enjoyed it. So I guess like now you've got a piece of work, you've put it together. What prompted you to actually follow through and publish this book and that process?
This last year, I kind of purposed to really grow it as a writer. And so I did join a number of writing groups and take some courses as well, so that I could, I guess, just, hone the craft a little bit. And so there I began to see, other writers who were doing, publishing their works, and just started getting the desire to do that. And even as intimidating as that is, I just thought, maybe I can do this. And I really felt like my family and close friends have been really supportive in that way and just really encouraging me to do that. So yeah, I really wanted to get it out there. I'm hoping, that this is the kind of thing that I'd like to share with young readers particularly. And as again, as a retired teacher, part of the thing that I loved, one of the things I really loved about teaching was being able to read to my students and also use that as a springboard to writing and art and other kinds of activities, because reading just opens the imagination. And, there's so many things that kids can learn from that process. So I think I really wanted to engage kids that way. And with that in mind, I have created some activities, like activity sheets, and that can be downloaded for educators, or it could be parents, I suppose, too, just to go further with that and let them explore other possibilities of learning.
Amazing. Yeah, I definitely remember a few times during the snack reading portion of class that went a little bit longer just because you were definitely into the story. So, it's definitely something that's always been passionate for you, and sharing that with others. So maybe now you can introduce us to the wonderful illustrator of this book, and maybe tell us how you connected with her.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm pulling up, hang on one second here. Yes, I have been extremely privileged to work with an amazing illustrator. I don't know how I got so lucky, but well, Peggy Collins, I'm just going to give you a little info about her. Peggy Collins, she's an award-winning author and illustrator, and again, living in Ontario. So we live fairly close to each other and have made a personal connection too. She has a number of new works that she has done, and I might let her tell you a little bit about those. But they've received a number of awards for not just her illustrating, but also her writing as well. And so, I mean, she's been a really busy lady this this year, and she also not only does the writing and illustrating, but she's also an educator and teaches courses in animation and other projects related to that with Queen's and Loyalist and St. Lawrence, so some of the other colleges and university in the area. So yes, she is top notch, and I just feel so privileged. And certainly this book would not have happened without her input. So I'm so thankful for Peggy.
Hey, wow. Yeah, so a little more background on this is I came to Karen for voice lessons because I couldn't actually sing out loud in front of people without like crying. And so Karen helped me find my voice for that, and I helped her find her visual voice for her story. So it's a mutually collaborative, and it's been a long haul. Karen was really patient with me as I was going through some pretty major life changes, but it all worked out really well because by the time I was able to dedicate the time I needed to the book, I was ready, and the artwork was there. It was coming up with the way it was going to work was really sitting not right with me for a while. I didn't have the visuals that I needed, and then all of a sudden I had an idea that I would use maps as the basis for most of the pieces, and then it started falling together pretty quickly. So that's and these are two of my books that just came out this year. I have 2 more coming out in the next 6 months, and yeah, it's been very busy, plus Karen's book. So COVID was not bad for me. I'm an introvert, so it worked out well.
That's amazing. Peggy, I think it's really cool that, like you said, that you've kind of worked together as authors in order to be able to, help find each other's skills and inner artistic abilities, which is very cool. Can you tell us a bit about the process of like finding the essence of explore, since it's a story in a poetic verse. That's the nature of it.
So Explore is a little different than a lot of the projects that I usually work on, because there wasn't dialogue. It was more of an abstract concept, which is, I think, why initially I was struggling with it a little bit. And I also wanted it to be great. And so there's pressure when you're working with friends and people that you admire. It's a little different when you're working with strangers. Usually in publishing, I don't actually meet the author until the project is finished. Publishers stand in between us and keep us apart, and they direct us in both directions. And so it's very different working directly with the author. And so for me, once I landed on the map piece, I think I did the mountain one first, and I was like, I found it. And I remember sending it to you, Karen, and being like, I think this is the way it should look. And from there, it was just much easier because it was a starting point, and each page has its own sort of place. And as soon as I identified what that place would be, and I wanted it up, under, over, around, exploring like the notion of spatial exploration, as well as like world exploration, as well as like self-exploration. So just trying to connect those things visually to the text was my direction.
Well, it really turned out into something spectacular, which we're going to see in a minute here, and that everyone's going to be able to kind of see that theme that you're talking about here. But maybe before we get into that, Peggy, you mentioned you've got some other works on the go and other writing and illustrating projects that you've been working on because you're an introvert and have been excelling well in COVID. So how can people find your work, and where can they look to see more of what you do?
Well, if you Google Peggy Collins, I'm not the self-help author. There's another person that writes all the self-help books, but it's not me. You can find me online. I'm kind of all over the place. I've been doing this for a while. I went to school for illustration, so I've been in the biz. I published my first book with Scholastic in 2005. So I've done over 40 books for kids so far. And but this last year has been really, really good. This Sky Blue Bench was just recommended in the New York Times, which was a really big deal.
Wow.
It has a Kirkus starred review, which, if you know book stuff, Kirkus is that. Also, my mom had no idea what Kirkus was. She was like, whatever. But I was like, no, this is a really big deal. And Peggy'sIllustration.com is my website. It's not really up to date, so I haven't really had time to do that yet. So that's where you can find me.
Amazing. I'm definitely going to be looking for a copy of that and picking up that reading as well, along with Explore. So thank you so much, Peggy. And with that, I think it's probably a good time to take a look at some of the work that these two ladies were able to put together. So Karen, if you don't mind sharing with everyone your screen and walking through the book and reading it to everyone.
Sure, that's great. Am I on still? Okay, I'm on. Good. Okay, just before I do that, I just want to do a couple things. I want to start with the synopsis. And so here's the back of the book, and I'm just going to kind of read that to you beforehand. This is sort of the theme and the feel of the book. Where would you go and what would you do if the possibilities were limitless? Join 3 brave children and their dog as they take you on the adventure of a lifetime, up to the heights, down to the depths, around the globe and beyond. Let Explore open your imagination to a great big world waiting to be discovered. So I'm going to open up a screen actually here and share my screen in just a second here. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I think I have to, hold on. Nope, first I've got to share my screen. Where am I? Hold on. Sorry about that. I should have been able to. Okay. Technology, right? That's the, here we go. So And I'm going to put it on here. Okay, I hope everybody can see that. Okay.
Yeah, we can see it. So you're in
Okay.
full screen mode and take it away.
Excellent, good. Okay, so just to start off, obviously, as we go through the book, I'm going to take a little bit of time and pause at the beginning every time I flip a page so that you can take note of the beautiful illustrations which have really brought these words to life. And so here we go. Explore. Written by Karen D. Sheffield, illustrated by Peggy Collins. Here's my dedications to Rod. And again, this is who I wrote the poem for, my brother-in-law. Thanks for your adventurous spirit, which inspired this book. To Nicole and Hudson, thanks for the joy you bring me as you explore this great big world. And to Daryl, my husband, thanks for sharing my dream. Here's the inside cover, beautiful illustrations here. I just want to make, just before I go through the rest of the book, I want to make one last comment here. Peggy had asked me when we were collaborating, are there any characters that you want to represent here? And I said, well, I'd love to have my kids in here. So the little girl in here represents my daughter, Nicole. The little boy on the right hanging down there represents Hudson. And the little boy on the left there with the glasses represents my brother-in-law, Rod. And of course, you got to have a dog in a story. And we used to have a dog, so it's in there as well. So here we go, explore. Chart your course with purpose. But venture beyond the map. Step out to the edge. Walk through open doors. Explore. Take the unknown turn ahead. Discover where it leads. Don't go back the way you came. See what you've never seen before. Explore. Go beyond the normal. Be the first one there. Dream of wonders yet to see. Hope for something more. Explore. Climb the highest peak. Feel where you are at. Gaze upon the vast expanse. See the world from heaven's shore. Explore. Hike the deepest canyon. Crawl the darkest cave. See endless possibilities of becoming so much more. Explore. Frame each new adventure. Capture all you can. Behold how it all fits together. Changing who you are. Explore. And there you go. So, though it's small or simple in many ways, the writing, the illustration and the themes that fall through there I think can bring up a lot of conversation and a lot of opportunities for personal growth. And I'm hoping it encourages people, both young and old. Oopsie, where am I? Okay. There we are.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Karen. I think we have some time for some questions if people have any. So I'll just check to see if there are any in the chat. But thank you so much for sharing that. We really got to see, I guess, the theme there of all of the maps and all the places that you can go and all the different sites you can see, not just physically and geographically, but you can also think of that as at points in your life that way. Do you mind just making it so that our video is back on, Mom?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm not sure why that it says it's.
If you want, you can just make me the host if you'd like.
Oh, I see. So how can I do that again? Sorry. Make host. There you go. Sorry about that. I think you should be back on now.
All righty, there we go. Business. Thank you for that. So looks like we do have a question in the chat, and I will just take a look to see what that is. Okay, we got a question from Lori. Is there a place that you have explored that was life-changing?
Good question. Wow. Well, I think, it's interesting because I do actually think that for me, probably it's not so much, it can be places, but I think it has to do more with maybe experiences that you have in places. And so I would say some of the places that I've gone and places I've learned at, like when I went away to college and things like that, and kind of went out, even starting my own business, things like that. I explored things that I never thought I would do. And, so for me, I think some of those endeavors, maybe personal endeavors, have been maybe more the things that have been life-changing as opposed to necessarily places, although I've visited some beautiful places too. Does that make sense?
Great. I think that's it's definitely a metaphor for a lot of different things in our life. Nancy wants to know, she was coming in at the very beginning, but what was the length of time involved from start to finish? Was it weeks or was it months?
Oh, I don't know, Peggy, what do you think on that one? I don't know. I think there was definitely months once we got going more on it. We had talked about it a few years ago, and then kind of we didn't, maybe once we sort of got in on it. I don't know, Peggy, do you have any thoughts on that more?
Yeah, it was kind of, it started out as an idea that we were tossing around over tea, I think, after singing. And I think it was probably a total of about 3.5 years, 4 years, actually, from the start of the spark of the idea till now, I'd say. A lot has gone on in those times, some pretty major shifts. But the timing of it, I think, is Explore is a perfect book for right now when we can't explore anything other than books and Google Earth. So yeah. It normally doesn't take that long, but it can be different when publishers are in it for money, and when it's something that it's more of a love-based project, it can take a little longer, perhaps.
Amazing. Yeah, no, a passion project's definitely different than a regular business, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you do both, Peggy. It really came through wonderfully. Sarah Jo wants to know, and I'm sure many of us have also thought this, but would you consider writing another book? And maybe on top of that, what would you want to do for your next one, if so?
Yes, definitely. I do have a number of other children's books ideas actually, and they're kind of been stirring around in my mind. One was related to our daughter's cat who lived with us for a while, Chloe the cat. So I imagined this little series of adventures of Chloe the cat. Nicole might laugh at that one, but the other things I've really been the idea of mental health with children too, I think is something that has been sort of a passion for me as well. And I have some ideas for probably similarly in maybe more in poetic verse as well, but the idea of exploring and growing in our understanding of, our emotions and our mental health. So those are a couple things that way. The other thing I have on the go, which I'm hoping to in the new year continue to work on. I've been working on a bit of a memoir, which through an experience of time when I was going through some difficult times, and it's sort of meant to be a bit of an inspirational memoir to encourage people in, maybe times where they've needed rest and encouragement. And so that's something that will involve some poetry as well as anecdotes and other things like that, and maybe some journaling as well. So
Great. Looking forward to that as well, and what comes of it. So there looks like there's time for one more question. Rod, this one's from Rod and Viv, and Rod may have inspired some of this. So he wants to know, for which grades would you see this book being used most effectively?
good question. Yeah. Well, obviously, I think that the younger kids, like in the grade, maybe the K to 4 age group, it'd be as simple, with the beautiful illustrations and all that. I think it's really eye-catching for them, and there's so many, the poetic feel of it too is kind of I think can be calming and that kind of thing. But I also think with older upper elementary, I think you could do a lot of things with it. And I have actually created a number of worksheets for kids that are a little bit older where you could use this as a writing prompt to get them thinking about ways that they would like to explore in different areas of their lives. And so I have created a few things like that I'm hoping maybe can get into some schools or, other, at least educators that I know that I could get into their hands to encourage them that way.
Well, I think we have a few educators here on the chat tonight because people are saying that it's definitely something that is inspiring their students, and they're looking forward to sharing it with them. So I guess with that, Karen, can you share with our guests how they can get a copy of Explore?
Yes. Yeah. So it is on Amazon. So I guess if you're in Canada, amazon.ca, and you would look under Explore, Karen D. Sheffield, Peggy Collins. You can find it there. As well, for people that are in our local area, I have ordered some copies. They're on their way. I'm hoping very soon they'll be here and I'll be able to distribute some of those. I know I have some people that have already ordered through me, and I can get those too. So those are the two main ways.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm sure some people want some custom signatures and notes in the front of their copies. So that's great. So I guess thank you all for joining this wonderful celebration of the book. Karen, are there any final comments that you'd like to make before we close our time out together?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say thank yous, basically. First of all, I want to say thank you to Peggy. You have inspired me. There's certainly no way I would have been able to do this book without you and your beautiful illustrations that have brought my words to life. And I just, I'm so thankful for what you, and yes, I'm so thankful for what we were able to do together. as well as a team there. So there she is. And yeah, it's just been, I know I've been such a novice at this, and you have so much experience. And so I've really learned so much from you. You've inspired me in so many ways. And yeah, I just really want to thank you a lot.
Thank you for thank you for everything you've done. You have no idea the impact that your coaching has had either. So
Thanks. And I want to thank, also want to thank I just want to acknowledge the dedication. So my brother-in-law, Rod, he's here. Thank you, Rod, for being here. And just the inspiration you were in this way, and the encouragement, you've helped me with a lot of different things, technical as well. And I really appreciate that. And my kids, you guys have constantly, Hudson, thank you for hosting this today. But also thank you for encouraging me as your mom, but as a person too, and believing in me and saying, yes, Mom, you can do this. This is great. And you and Nicole both have done that over and over again. And I just appreciate that so much. And I want to also thank my husband for just always believing in me, and just letting me know that, letting me follow my dreams. It's been amazing. So I'm just so thankful for that, the continual support. Thank you to my family and friends and people that have encouraged me, just say, keep writing, and yeah, it's just been wonderful. And I've really appreciate all the support that I've received. So there it is.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Karen and Peggy, for sharing with us today. And thank you all for joining us and participating in this book launch. We hope that you will continue to explore many things in your life in the year to come. Take care, everyone. Happy holidays, and thank you for joining.
Thank you. Yeah.